Welcome to another episode of A Peek Behind the Lines. I'm Tiana Speter, and today we are diving into the world of flowers, devils, Prada, and more. I'm joined, of course, by Mike from the Devil Wears Prada. Mike, welcome. Thank you for hanging out today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Well, there's a lot of exciting things to chat about. Like, it is shaping up to be yet another monumental year creatively for the Devil Wears Prada. Most recently, you, of course, announced your ninth studio album, Flowers, due out in November. And that announcement was accompanied by a double single and a crazy, stunning short film as well that kind of leaned into some midsummer vibes, as does the cover artwork, which I very much enjoyed. But bringing in the Devil Wears Prada triangle. On the short film, it's not the first time you guys have put out visual content, obviously, but this was something extremely and especially special. Like, White's visuals on point, you guys in full flight. Can you talk me through the origin for this short film and what it represents as part of this new unfurling Devil Wears Prada chapter?
I don't know, it's so much in thanks to our team and believing in us and the fact that our label is the absolute best and believes in us so much and can afford to give Wyatt a bit of money to be able to make something cool like our short film. So that definitely cannot be overlooked. But I don't know, there's something like grainy and there's a kind of maturity about it that I feel really attached to. I've spoken before about that. I feel like a lot of rock and metalcore kind of feels like it's like kind of exiting the earth and it's becoming like this space age realm. And I don't want to say like AI, but I don't know. It doesn't feel very relatable to me. And
Mm.
I think what Wyatt's film and where this quirky storyline landed and licking a frog and all this and a strange cult growing out of a house party and such, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel so rock star in terms of the house party, and maybe that speaks to the relatability of the whole theme, but I don't know, there's just like the mid-century home outside LA we shot it in and, like, the kitchen and the whole vibe. And there's like this record collection. You can kind of see it on the introduction shot where the whole band is playing in this little space between these double wide windows or the sliding doors. And I don't know, the just John playing keyboards in the kitchen and there's a little pool and Jeremy's kind of like bored in the kitchen at one point and why it's like you're in the background like singing out there and I'm like, "Oh, okay." But we've done countless music videos, more than I can remember or care to
Mm.
remember, but, having a short film like this and the getting to drive a classic Mustang was also really cool, but the transition to the desert and, um, building the actual theme Wyatt's wife Tiana did, and, um, it's amazing, and it's all real, and, I think it's a really awesome way to announce our new album.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really awesome to see is like we're here 2 decades into this journey. Like album number nine, as you said, we've got some stunning vinyl variants on offer as well. But we're seeing an evolution, but we're seeing you kind of still be the Devil Wears Prada at your core. Like there's that undeniable thread throughout this album, even though there's some stylistic kind of changes here and there. But in terms of what actually changed or perhaps didn't change, like what creative changes did you put in place making this album? And on the flip side, what potentially stayed the same to conjure flowers?
Um, I think what stayed the same is John, Jeremy, and I's trust in each other and our respect for one another, and the fact that any three of us can shoot out ideas and not feel ashamed or embarrassed.
Mm.
Um, there's really no bad ideas when it comes to getting the ball rolling, and we would work with different, like I was talking about earlier, we would work with different songwriters and producers and just spitball ideas and just demo a song in a guy's house. And, when you go, okay, we have this scheduled for this day, and your flight to LA is this day, and you're staying in this Airbnb for this long, and our photographer Amani is going to be with you. So her flights are this. It's like when you get there, you can't really hit writer's block.
Mhm.
And at the same time, you don't want to be so overly prepared to where it like nullifies what the third party is doing in terms of what his or her contributions are to the song. You want them to feel welcome and them to have their place in the song rather than you just doing what you might do over and over and over again.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's where the trust comes in, and I think that's where it stays the same is the fact that, like, I would pitch ideas that had no place in the Devil Wears Prada, but if it gets someone's brain to go a lit something starts firing, then it could go a certain way, and I think that's what stayed the same and what went different is the fact that we're so far away removed from a bunch of dudes sitting in a room together with amplifiers and drums and whatnot. And as beautiful as a thing that is, um, it's not the most conducive sort of system for constructing songs when we have the time we have to make the songs and
Mm.
have our lives to live at home and such as and live apart as well as knowing we all live in different cities and whatnot, so I think that would be one of the bigger changes is also a good thing is
Yeah.
opening the door to other people to say, like, "What do you hear in the Devil Wears Prada?" Like, what's your take on the Devil Wears Prada?" Like, "What's your riff?" Or,
Yeah.
"What's your theme to a chorus?"
Isn't it amazing? Like you can have so many ideas and bring everything into the mix, and just how someone else's, not necessarily opinion, but just how something can just come out of the blue and it's something you would never ever have thought of, and you end up somewhere you never planned. And yet you're kind of meant to, it's like where you're meant to be. I don't know. I'm that kind of person that believe that we're always where we're meant to be. And as much as I'm a lone wolf and I don't always like collaborating, the best stuff comes out of that. It just explodes. And having the trust that you guys have to also not be afraid to just throw anything in the mix, because yeah, like I said, it's led to these incredible places and will continue to do so by all accounts for what we've seen happen in the past. So I love it.
It's true, and it is a testament to that, specifically in that I think Jeremy, John, and I are all people that very happy to do things our own way, and
Mm.
if we are set with a chore or a project, we're more than okay just being like, "I'll take care of it,
Yep.
and I'll deliver it when it's done." Um, it's fun and it's intriguing to throw it out the window and say like, "All right, let's this person I met 15 minutes ago, and now I'm in his home studio. What's his take?" Or like,
Yeah.
"What's he been thinking about?" or something. Um, it's fun. It I one of the things I learned years ago that I really love is a song is counterpoint. And if you have something sitting in a room and it's not working or something, you throw something else in that room to completely, juxtapose the scenario.
Yeah.
And in a very physical sense, that can be putting a songwriter or a producer in the room that does not play in the Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a really fun way to keep things fresh. Sounds like a lame word in that kind of scenario, but I do think after doing it for 2 decades, like you guys have been and are continuing to do so, like most bands would sell their soul to even be going at this point, but you guys are not only going, you're thriving, you're releasing new music, you're playing so many shows, like insane amount of shows. And on that topic, you're going to be adding a few more Australian shows to your countless list. This October, supporting Bullet For My Valentine, of course, with While She Sleeps will not be your first trip here. Obviously, last year you were with Alpha. You've toured here that many times that I kind of had to not list everything because we would be here for a very long time. But looking back at some of these Australian visits, like what Australian memory instantly springs to mind that you will never, ever, ever forget? And it can be on or off stage. What moment pops up for you?
Oh, geez. I remember our first tour, how amazing it was because it was only, I think we did Australia before we ever went to South America. So it was only the third continent we visited as a band. Um, I remember we went out to the ocean in Perth, finishing the Parkway Drive tour in 2010, and I almost got swept out to sea.
Oh,
Still terrified.
fair.
Um, I remember we came as Romans supporting us on our first, I guess it felt like our first proper headline, but it was Dead Throne, Australia, which was also John's first tour with the Devil Wears Prada, and then he got sucked in with us for eternally or eternity. Um, Shoot, what else? Supporting A Day to Remember, they put us up in these crazy nice hotels. I remember having like a bubble bath and being like, never thought I'd be here and like Melbourne and whatnot. Um, the first time doing, we only did Soundwave once, but I remember we were stuck in Sydney for like 5 days. We played a show and then had like 3 days off. tour, I just walked and walked and walked, and it was so delightful to have time away from working, but also being so far away from home. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, the most recent time meeting some new friends, Josh and Avalon in Melbourne, getting tattooed, and then went to this amazing record store, nearly buying this poster that I'm glad I didn't buy, but maybe if it's still there this time, I will buy it.
Yes.
It's his birthday party signed by the whole band poster, but we'll see. Um, there's been a lot of good, fun, amazing times in Australia.
Yeah, and well, we'll have to check in and see if the poster's still there, but I feel like you're only gonna increase these memory banks, so we'll have to do a whole other episode about this trip by the next time. But to finish us up today, I know there's a little bit of time before you come out here, but October is increasingly approaching as I look at my calendar and realize it's September already. But with like a set list kind of decision, is it safe to assume you might get to witness some of this new material live in action this October?
Yes, I believe so. We've been playing Ritual and For You for a while now, but we also played Where the Flowers Never Grow, and our last show we played as of late in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So we know that we can play it.
Yeah.
I don't want to make promises I can't keep, but I imagine we'll be playing that in Australia too. So, and then on top of that, as busy as we've been this year, 2026 will be the same. And um, we have an amazing manager who I'm sure is putting together plans for Australia for 2026 too. So hopefully it won't be too long.
Hell
Right
yes.
back over.
Music
Yep.
to all of our ears. Well, before all of that happens, Flowers is, of course, due out on Friday, 14th of November. And you guys will be back here in Australia supporting Bullet for My Valentine in Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. We absolutely cannot wait to have you back here. And congrats on an incredible new album. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. So stoked.